Welcome to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with Rebecca Hall-Greider. In our program each week, we provide the tools, ideas, and encouragement to help you move ahead on your journey, becoming a more powerful and impactful woman in your own life. Now here's your host, Rebecca Hall-Greider.
Welcome, everyone. I hope that you're having an amazing day. I'm honored to be connecting in with you. Can you believe it's the end of April? I know I have probably expressed that every show in April because it's been amazing to me that it's already April and halfway through April, that this month and reaching this point in the year has gone so quickly. And I just kind of keep being surprised and in awe of that. And one of the things we've been focusing in on April is overcoming challenges. How do we do that? What tools can we add to our toolbox to help us overcome challenges, to find that silver lining, to not just survive, but thrive? How can we do that? So our amazing experts this month have been supporting us in that, sharing their journey, their story, the ways they have discovered how to do that so that we can add their insights, their wisdom, their perspective to how we're approaching life. Because one thing I do know about life is that it's not if you have a challenge, it's when. We're going to have challenges. We're going to face things that stretch us, that knock us to our knees. And how do we rise up again? How do we not just survive, but thrive? How do we do that? And today, our amazing guest has gone through some things that just, I think, could stop so many people in their tracks and not be able to take another step and to keep breathing and keep stepping forward. And yet he found a way to do so, and not only do so, but has been able to move forward in such a powerful way that he's bringing powerful work to the world to help people also process their grief, process emotions, and be able to understand and how does it connect to the spirit and be able to move forward powerfully. So I know we're in for a really powerful show. Honored to be connecting with you today, and I want you to be able to get the most out of our time together today. So to do that, let's take a breath together. Nice deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, like through a straw. Beautiful. Let's take another breath. A moment to just slow down, breathe in, and be. And in fact, to be poured into. And as we slow down and we take this breath, I invite you to close your eyes. Put your hand on the heart, one hand on your heart. Actually, let's put both hands on our heart today. And just really feel the beat of your heart as you're breathing. Close your eyes. You're absolutely safe. Continue to breathe. And as we take a moment to slow down and listen and be poured into, what is it you need today? What is it that will encourage you, empower you, uplift you, support you? What do you need today, real time? Just see what that is that you are willing to receive, because guess what? You have choice. So what is it that you are willing to receive, that your heart, beat by beat, is trying to share with you? And receive that information. Beautiful. Let's take a breath. Come back into the room, eyes open, fully present, and take a moment to write that down, whatever it was, that insight, that feeling, that reminder, whatever that message was for you today. Take a moment, write it down. Keep it top of mind. If it was insight in what it is that you need today, that you're willing to receive, keep that top of mind so you don't get distracted by shiny objects. Keep it in front of you, top of mind, being open to the wonderful and unexpected way that this need will be met. So you're leaning forward with excitement, anticipation, and trusting that your need will be met as you lean into identifying it and being open. Beautiful. We're going to go around our virtual room here and connect in with our amazing guest, Sam. And Sam, I would just love for you to share, when we took a moment to stop and pause, was there something laid on your heart that you'd like to share with our listeners today?
Yes. Well, when we are confronting a major event, which is sad, like the loss of a loved one, and usually we contract and close our hearts. My advice is just do the opposite. Mm-hmm. Open your heart. Mm-hmm. And by opening our heart, we will be able to perceive and receive love from our family and friends. And that is the beginning of the healing process.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that we have that kind of immediate response, that desire to kind of shrink back and close off and contract, and instead the leaning in, opening our heart allows for those connections. Really great advice in that healing and receiving of love. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. Absolutely. And listeners, what was laid on your heart? What was a reminder or something that touched you as you took a moment to listen? And perhaps with what Sam is sharing, there's something in that was also just for you, as he was being prompted to share about when you're confronted with loss of a loved one. And how are you choosing to respond and process? So as we go to our first commercial break, I want to encourage you to take a moment and continue to breathe and be still. This is your time for you. You don't need to be anywhere else, do anything else. This is a time for you to be poured into and supported and uplifted and encouraged in your walk. So choose to be present. Enjoy these next 2 minutes, being still, maybe writing some thoughts down. And then when we come back, we'll continue our conversation. I look forward to talking to you in just a moment.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
You have the power to be stronger, live fearlessly, and enjoy the benefits of a great life. Listen for Fearlessly Authentic with host Jody Harrison Bauer. Jody has proven at an age when many start to slow down that she is just getting started. With 2 grown daughters, a successful business that she started at 50, a finalist in the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue, and a 2-time world bikini champion, she's ready to take you to the next level in your life. Fearlessly Authentic airs Thursdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific on Voice America Empowerment. Rebecca Hall-Greider's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at speakertalentsearch.com. That's speakertalentsearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall-Greider. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. You may also send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed those 2 minutes, that opportunity to be still and breathe and take a moment for you. I find I get insight and peace and clarity when I slow down a little bit and I allow my heart and my spirit to speak to me. I don't always hear it in the wrestle and the hustle and the bustle of life. And it's by slowing down, or sometimes those moments that stop us in our tracks, that I can hear a little bit more clearly. And as we have opportunity throughout today's show, we're going to build in those 2-minute moments for you. So I hope that you use them, that you choose to stay present and receive and process. Really take in what serves, release what doesn't. So that when you go back out into the world, you're doing so from a place of being poured into and filled up and mindful and purposeful. Beautiful. Well, let me introduce our guest a little bit. You got to hear from him on a heart level, particularly around loss. And when we get into his journey and story a little bit, you're going to understand even more of that perspective. But I want to take a moment and just give you a snapshot of who Sam is. So Sam Yao is a retired business executive, splitting his time between managing his investments and writing poetry. He has reinvented his life several times, from a 6-month-old baby on a refugee boat, to a penniless student, to becoming a CEO of $1 billion corporation, to the chairman of a center for personal growth, to becoming a #1 international best-selling author, his poetry book being powerfully received, best-selling status in 4 countries, and ranking in, I think it's over 40 categories, hitting best-selling status, and #1 in 10 of them. Really powerfully received. And he is passionate about supporting the soul's journey through his poetry and helping you connect powerfully with your soul. Please lean in and warmly welcome the powerful and heart-centered Sam Yao to the show. Welcome!
Thank you, Rebecca, for this opportunity to share my story.
Absolutely. I'm honored to have you joining us. I'm excited we get to have a full show together. So listeners, that's really special that we get to have a full show together and really go deep into the conversation. And so there are so many things I'm excited to have Sam share about today. And I wanted to start with his book of poetry and share a little bit about what that's about, why, his vision, what it was like to bring it forward. And then we're going to go into some of his story and journey that has led to this powerful book of poems and this work to really support so many people around the world, and his poetry really helping them process and connect and go deeper. So let's start with why. Sam, why did you feel led on your journey to not just write this powerful poetry, to put it together, but to put it together into a collection, into a book, and publish and release it? Why was that important to you?
Okay. 4 years ago, and my son, Ryan, committed suicide.
Yeah.
So that was huge, right? Everyone understands that was so huge for me. And it's like, hurricane.
Yeah.
And it just wiped out a lot of my interest, my attachments at that time in my life. And I was very, very concerned that, how he experienced the death and how was he doing in the spiritual realm. So it started me to think that, okay, well, he's back home. And I know we all came from there. And at that point of time, I was thinking about, well, okay, I want to be close to him. I know he will be with me from time to time. I want to be sensitive to the spiritual realm. And then the question arose, okay, what if I live in my soul rather than, a human, as a human with a soul? So that changed the whole perspective, because then I want to look at the world from the perspective of my true identity, which is the soul. And once I start asking that question and thinking about what is important to me now in my life, things start to shift. I got very clear images and messages from the spiritual realm that shocked me and surprised me. And the message is that you will be a healer in words. I was dumbfounded. I didn't know what it meant. I was neither a healer nor a wordsmith, not to mention, a poet. But I surrendered to it. I surrendered to the message. And then within a 3-month period, so many things happened. People came into my life who inspired me to write poems. A poetry coach came into my life and helped me to learn the craft of poetry writing. I have a very talented artist who, after listening to one or reading one poem of mine, offered to do original work to illustrate my poem. There's so many things came into my life, and the message was clear. I need to start writing poetry for my own healing at that time. And then I assembled a group of friends, about 20 of them, for them to receive my poems. And over a period of 2 years, I got a tremendous feedback from them, and they told me, Sam, you need to publish a poem. They are inspiring, they are healing. I say, really? I did this for myself. And so the message is so clear. So that's how I end up with this book.
And I love that you listened and you followed that path. And I can see getting this message that you're supposed to be a healer in words, and that being so foreign, like not something you would have sought out or created, but really being, called forth, and then getting all of those wonderful confirmations, the team coming together that you need, an artist being inspired and touched to create original artwork for your words and your poems, and inspired by, and being able to partner with them and bringing the book forward, your friends seeing and being touched by your poems and encouraging you to bring it forward. And you said yes, you leaned in, you brought it forward. It was so powerfully received. I know we got to be part of that launch, and one of the things that was neat about that, there were many things, but some of the reviewers that were selected to review the book prior to the launch had experienced some great loss right in the middle. It was in the holidays timeframe when that was going on. And I remember we were like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. We don't want to add more pressure. If this feels like too much, it's okay. We completely understand. If you feel inspired and you want to read them, we hope they serve. And they all leaned in and read them. And they thanked us, and they thanked you, Sam, and appreciated your words, and they found them really healing and really helped them process some really challenging, difficult emotions and thoughts around loss. And I'd just love for you to add to that, because you were the one that got to receive those powerful reviews that were so tender.
Oh, yes. And so as a new poet, I do need the validation from my friends. And I send them the poem just, not really for the purpose of validation. I want to share. I recognize that part of the healing process, when one experiences such a loss, as I said earlier, I open my heart and I want to tell my story to my old friends. But there's a lot of new friends coming into my life at that time as well. So that's part of the healing.
Beautiful.
I would say the biggest power, the strongest power of healing, fundamentally, is always love. And I receive a lot of love when I share with them my story. So I was no longer hiding. I was hiding for a year or so in a very, a seclusive way. And then I just recognized that I just need to, open my heart and feel vulnerable and share my story. And there's so much love flowing in and comfort me. And so that is a part of the healing journey in writing this book. But interestingly, when I write poetry, the process clarify, distill, and deepen, and ingrain the essence of my past spiritual experiences onto my being. So it's kind of solidify what I have learned for many, many years. But the interesting thing is I try to sculpt my poem. My poem was also sculpturing me at the same time. And so it's transforming. The poem transformed me because a lot of time when I start to write a poem, I have an idea. But then it changed. The poem has a life of its own. And it started to change and give me a new twist, a new understanding of something I learned from the past. So it became a spiritual practice for me, and it's just wonderful. Now it has become the most joyous and uplifting spiritual practice for me, and that's really wonderful. I want to share with you.
Thank you for sharing. I love that it takes on a life of its own, and it's sculpting you as you're sculpting it. That's so powerful. And I'd love to give an example of one of your poems and have you read it. I'd love for you to read 1,000 Small Cuts. And as you're getting ready, listeners, I have read this poem many times, and I hear it differently in different ways, depending on where I'm at or what I'm dealing with at that time. Sometimes I hear it more lightly, and it can be a small wound or cut or a misunderstanding all the way to a deep loss. It touches me in different ways. And so, Sam, I would love for you to share 1,000 Small Cuts.
Okay. I want to just tell you that I wrote this poem as a result of a request of my friend, who has a friend who's suffering from the traumatic effect of a divorce, and then she told me a little bit about why he was suffering. So I wrote this one, in this case, to heal another individual, my friend's friend. Okay, 1,000 small cuts. You can't recall a single major traumatic event, but you have suffered small but recurring hurts inflicted by those closest to you over many years. You walk in a room and feel invisible. Your enthusiasm was negated. Your idea brushed off and called clueless. No one to talk to. No one cares. Trapped. Small unhealed injuries snowball into a debilitating wound. It gnaws at your self-worth, deplete your life force. The world feels unsafe. You become a loner. Your pain body unlivable, bit by bit, your soul leaves. Your eyes look vacant. Nothing is pleasurable. A chunk of your life has vanished from memory. 1,000 cuts need 1,000 doses of loving kindness to heal. Open your heart. Be vulnerable. Share your life with friends, old and new. Look for beauty, love's favorite place to indwell. Your favorite things will come to life and return your caring vibes. Propagate your love, for the boomerangs multiplies and heals you at the root.
Thank you. Listeners, I want you to take a moment and just take that in and see how it is speaking to you, how it is touching you. And I love that reminder to open your heart, to be vulnerable, to share your life with friends old and new, to propagate your love for it boomerangs and multiplies and heals you at the root. So powerful. As we go to our next commercial break, I want you to think about what is speaking to your heart, to your spirit. And when you come back, we're going to continue our conversation with the powerful Sam.
Follow us on Twitter at VoiceAmericaTRN. Get the lowdown on guests, new shows, and your favorites. That's VoiceAmericaTRN.
Rebecca Hall Greider's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at SpeakerTalentSearch.com. That's SpeakerTalentSearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message. Explore the poetry of Sam Yao. His book of poems, Soul's Journey, is a #1 international bestseller. Sam is a contemporary poet with a unique and highly relatable poetic style to convey the essence of spiritual truths for our time. Readers will find beauty, inspiration, and healing in his words. Get his book, Soul's Journey, today on Amazon.com or visit SamYaoPoetry.com. That's Sam, Y-A-U, Poetry.com.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit EmpoweredConnectionsTV.com. That's EmpoweredConnectionsTV.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Greider. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. You may also send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that time to really be still, connect with your heart, really sink into the powerful words shared by Sam and explore how can you open your heart even more? How can you let more love in, share more love, and create space for that in your heart and in your life? And we are continuing our conversation with Sam about his poetry and some of his journey. And I know he shared a little bit about his story and the loss he experienced and what led him to start writing poetry, and that what led him to bring it forward and share it. And a lot of it was his friends encouraging him, leaning in, feeling touched and healed by his words and encouraging him to share them with more. And him answering, leaning into the call of being a healer in words and exploring that and being open to it and then leaning in and saying yes. And there's a poem that is quite powerful in his book. It's on page 73. It's called Transfigured. And actually, before I go there, I was thinking, Sam, do you mind sharing the title of your book? We keep talking about it, but do you mind sharing the title of your book and where people can get it? Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Yeah. The title of my poetry book is The Soul's Journey. Mm-hmm. And it's dedicated to my son, Ryan, because now he is in the spiritual realm as a soul without a human body. But that's really our true identity. And, when we end this journey in the human world, we'll return to as a spirit, which is a beautiful experience too.
I love it. And so it's The Soul's Journey, and they can find it, I believe, on Amazon in a few different formats on Amazon.com and also on your site. Do you mind sharing your website?
Yes. My website's name is Sam Yao. Yao is Y-A-U, poetry. So no space, just one phase, Sam Yao Poetry. And you go there, Perfect. You can actually read all the poems in the book, also in their website. And you can order also, the book from Amazon from my website.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And for those of you who, as you're getting a little bit of taste of Sam and his work, I know you have a list that they can sign up to be on your website. And do you mind sharing a little bit of what's special about that list?
You mean Transfigure?
No, when people signed up to be on your list, what you sent them?
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. So if you sign up, and you will receive a new poem, as I write them throughout the coming year. Mm-hmm. And
I love it.
Well, that's the benefit.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful. So as they're being created and ready to be shared, they'll get emailed into your inbox. So you get to be part of his work coming forward and being shared with the world and kind of first on the list to get to experience it. So I love it. I think it's great. So for those of you who are resonating with Sam and want more, I want to encourage you to check out his website and sign up for that list and be a receiver of his beautiful poetry as it comes forward. Now, I'm going to switch to Transfigured, and we elected to not read this book on air, and I want to share a little bit about why, and then I also want to have Sam share a story about this particular poem and how powerful it has been for people. So it is on page 73 of his book. It's called Transfigured, but it is a bit explicit. I mean, it describes what happened in more detail. And I just felt like for some, if this is a sensitive subject around loss, suicide, etc., I didn't want anyone to be unexpectedly triggered or have it hit a sensitive spot without support. And so we're not going to share it on the air, but I want to encourage you, if what he shares is something that pulls you in, I wanted you to know where you can read the poem and lean in and experience that. But I just want to be a little bit sensitive because this show does go out around the world to people of all different ages and experiences, and we wanted to be mindful of that. But it is a very, very powerful poem. And I'd love for you to just generally explain what the poem's about, kind of the beginning and the end, and the transformation that happens in it, and then the impact. You have a beautiful story of when you read this, how it changed a person's life.
Yeah.
So, Sam, the floor is yours.
Yes. Yes. At a certain point of time in my journey, I got a strong message that I have to write about Ryan's death. Mm-hmm. And I resisted first because I want to stay away from it for a while before I revisit. But the compulsion, the feeling of the compulsion is very strong, and there's also clear messages from Ryan. And it took me 5 days to write this poem in a lot of detail, a lot of description of the symptoms of PTSD. Mm-hmm. And it's very visual and graphic as well. Mm-hmm. And it took me 5 days, and each stanza I had to stop because I became too emotional. Mm. And I argued with Ryan, so what do you want to write this poem? And actually, I kind of told him that, what's the purpose of this poem if the redemption is death? You cannot make it in this lifetime. And the message that came back to me is that you have to tell them what happened to me after I pass. Mm. And I say, how do I know that? How do I know that? And well, you will know. And I got story about that, but that's separate. Mm-hmm. And so I write a poem over a period of 5 days. Very, very emotional. And mm-hmm. then I took that poem, and as part of my recital, when I went organize a recital, that's before the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And in the middle of the session, a gentleman sitting in the front just start to weep loudly, and he couldn't control himself when he heard the poetry. And mm-hmm. it almost lasted throughout the rest of the session. At the end, he came to see me, pull me into a corner. He said, Sam, thank you for that poem. I have been thinking about suicide for a long time. And your poem depicted so vividly what my family would feel if I do that. Thank you so much. And I was really deeply touched. And so that's an illustration, the power of this poem in terms of helping people to reflect what they really want to do and how does it affect the family members and friends.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing and how that just altered his perspective in his life so profoundly, and that he was able to process and grieve and receive that and not take that step is just really powerful. So I appreciate you sharing that story and your journey and your wrestling with writing it and bringing it forward and then honoring that call to bring it forward. So I appreciate that about your work and your willingness to, and your obedience to say, yes, I will do it, even if it's hard and it's painful and I don't want to. It's uncomfortable, it's vulnerable, and yet you do. And you keep taking those steps and you keep sharing your wisdom, your gift, your insight with the world, and you're willing to do that and take that stand for the soul and for the spirit. And I think that's really, really powerful. And we also have another poem I know that you selected for today. So we get two poems today in discussion of another, just a sampler. And this one is a very different type of energy that, because we wanted to kind of create a balance for you today, because part of the journey when, we face hard things and process, there is a silver lining, there is the sun will eventually rise. There is that happens. And even in those darkest moments, and sometimes the light that can come through can be so profound and so bright because the darkness is so dark. And so I want to encourage you, any of you who are in the thick of a loss or a grief or a really incredible challenge, to remember we're here, we're with you. The light will come, it will pass, and you're not alone, and you're cared for, and you're loved. And it can start with the smallest ray, the smallest vibration can start to break through that darkness. It can start to come to our heart. It can start to help us open it up for love and healing on the journey. And with that, Sam, I'm going to hand the floor over to you. I know you've prepared a reading of the poem, Swept Away by the Tiniest Vibrations. Do you mind sharing that beautiful poem?
Yes. I want to just make a statement. During this process, of course, there's a lot of grief in the healing process, but there's a lot of joy as well. So that's why some of my poem also has very joyous. And this is one of them. Swept away by the tiniest vibration. I stand against the whipping wind. I don't want to leave. I stretch my hands out to catch my balance. Tremors rumble up from the center of the planet. Tidal waves make of the tiniest vibration wash over me. My billion cells trance dance in unison. Minuscule filaments of energy deep within me oscillate and throb like little golden champagne bubbles of joy, ready to explode and celebrate. The dancing ocean glitters with silver, reflecting the moons above. The space occupied by my body is now only vibration. This is the essence of my organs, my metabolism, my breath, my movements, my existence. I am rhythm expanding outward. The whole universe consists of this majestic, jubilant, life-giving pulsation. My body sways with the wind. My feet are planted deep into the earth. I am an ancient sequoia. I am in my element. I am home. I want to stay here for eternity.
Beautiful. Thank you. Your words are so powerful, so visual. I feel like I'm there and can feel the champagne bubbles of joy. You're ready to explode and celebrate that, becoming one with the vibration and all that's around, being part of that rhythm of life and leaning into the majestic, jubilant, life-giving pulsation as your body sways with the wind. That's so, and so powerful to be able to feel so deeply, to become one with so much that's around us, and the joy and the wonder of that. I love how powerfully you have captured so much with your words. Anything you'd like to add to that? Absolutely.
Yeah, I think if we open up to really be present when we are in nature, there's a calling from the nature for us to be perceive its beauty, and we are part of the earth. Those vibrations are there, but we don't perceive that because we're not present. And if we can perceive them, it change our relationship with the planet Earth, and it will give us a lot of joy every time we are in nature and in union with the beauty of the nature.
Beautiful. And with that, I think this is a perfect segue to our next commercial moment. So as we do that, I encourage you to really take these 2 minutes to pause, breathe deeply, feel the air around you, feel the floor beneath you, feel in for those vibrations. Really take a moment to be still, feel, connect, receive, and we'll continue our conversation in just 2 minutes.
Introducing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
It's time to serve, learn, change the world. Tune in each week for the power of young people to change the world. Hosted by NYLC CEO Amy Mewers. The program is a forum for both young people and the adults who love and support them. We make connections with others through stories of change, partnership, and new perspectives of issues facing the world today. Be sure to join us every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time and 3 p.m. Pacific Time, or anytime on demand on the Voice America Empowerment Channel.
The White House doctor makes house calls. Listen every week for House Calls with Dr. Connie Mariano. Dr. Connie has served as the White House physician under 3 U.S. presidents. Now, she joins the Voice America Empowerment Channel to help you enrich yourself physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Our guests will include professionals from a variety of fields who will bring you tips that you can apply to your own life. Listen for House Calls with Dr. Connie every Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Empowerment Channel.
Rebecca Hall-Greider's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at SpeakerTalentSearch.com. That's SpeakerTalentSearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall-Greider. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. You may also send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that time of taking a deep breath, being still, really feeling, connecting, feeling that support, the energy, the vibrations around you, really connecting in. And I always find that so calming and awe-inspiring and peaceful when I remember to do that and to be still and to feel and observe. And somehow just taking a moment, 1 minute, 2 minutes, and doing that, life is less overwhelming. It becomes more purposeful. I can have a different perspective or clarity on something I'm thinking of doing. I can be more purposeful in the next steps that I take. So I hope that you find that as well. And at the end of our time together today, I encourage you to take a couple minutes before stepping back out into the world. Give yourself a moment to transition, to really take a breath, receive, release, and step forward in a mindful and a purposeful way. Now, we have been talking with the amazing Sam Yao today, and he's been sharing some of his poetry and wisdom and insight and from the heart, some of his journey. And I hope that you have found some great tips or tools or insights that you can add to your toolbox to support you, to guide you, to help you on your journey. And that reminder to open your heart, to allow love in, to lean in versus contract, especially in those hard and challenging times. And I wanted to make sure you had all of his contact information. So if you wanted to go deeper, you were able to connect with him further. So Sam, do you mind taking a moment and sharing all of your contact information again and all the places they can get your book and the title of the book?
Yes, the title of my book is Soul's Journey. And you can get it from Amazon.com. And you can also visit me on my website, samyaupoetry.com, and where you can order my book as well as the Sammy questions. Get in touch with me if you want. So those are my contact information. I'm also in social media, different social media. The Samuel Poetry also is usually the name.
Perfect. And I know they can see some of the beautiful artwork as well on your site. It's very visual, so people can enjoy that, and they can sign up on your powerful list so they get to see the poetry as it's being created, which I think is exciting. And is there any final tip as you reflect back on our conversation today, and we're talking about helping people overcome challenges? Do you have a tip or piece of advice you'd like to share with our listeners?
Yes. What is the nutshell? In a nutshell, what is my book about?
Mm-hmm.
So the soul journey is one that discovers our true identity as a spirit. It discovers the true nature of the divine, and each soul is love itself. Peeling off all the layers of reality, only awareness and love remained. So we make sure that everything we do, love is right at the center. Then we would stay whole and connected to our highest being. And that's my last words.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. That's so powerful, and peeling all those layers away, and love is at the center. Beautiful. Thank you. Listeners, I encourage you to peel those layers away, really allow love in and share love out. Be mindful and purposeful of what you're echoing out, because we're echoing stuff out all the time, constantly, whether we realize it or not. And boy, how powerful if we could do it in a purposeful way, if we could mindfully pause, not just react, but pause, take a moment and choose love. Choose that to be the vibration that you share out. Choose that to be why you do what you do. Choose that to be what you're sharing and extending to yourself and to others. So I want to thank you for joining us today. It's been such a privilege to have this time of connection, heart to heart, with Sam and with all of you. I hope that it has been encouraging, and that this series in April has been supportive of giving you some great insights and ideas and perspectives to help you on your journey and your walk in life, because you are a gift. You're absolutely needed in this world for such a time as this. And I believe the biggest gift you can give the world is more of you. So be willing to share the gift of you authentically, powerfully, and lovingly. Wherever you go and whatever you do, choose to bloom where you are planted and shine. Have an amazing week, everyone, and I'll look forward to talking to you next time.
Thank you for joining us this week for Empowering Women, Transforming Lives. Please tune in again for another edition with your host, Rebecca Hall-Griter, next Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific, on the Voice America Empowerment Channel, with a replay on Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Pacific on the Voice America Variety Channel. Have a beautiful week, and may you always bloom where you're planted and shine.